welcome in. Thanks for coming in, everybody. Thank you to those of you who may be doing the replay. Hey, Cool Gamer. Hey, Aiden here. I appreciate you. I know, hashtag replaying this live if you can't make it, right now. And I appreciate those who can make it. I'm looking at what happened, Aid. You changed your thing. Anyway, it was distracting me a little bit. I was just finishing up lunch, and then I also had to change the little guy before I got started. I'm just grateful he did it before instead of during. And yeah, it's been just one of those days where it's one thing after another. I did do my hair. This was the color I had at the house, so I'm back to my old color. And I remembered that I was doing more of a natural hair color because I, was trying to go all natural. Here, I'll send it to you. I'll show you what's just happened. It's really bizarre. Anyway, yeah, I like this color, and I can't find it yet in an all natural hair coloring. So it is what it is right now. Plus, I still had one box left over to use, and it's something that's not as bad as some of them can be. I can't remember the name right now, but it's supposed to be a little bit more natural. Still a little bit too much chemicals. Hold on, I'm trying to send it to you, Aid, to show you what I just saw. It's so bizarre. It's been really weird anyway online lately. And StreamYard and YouTube are doing weird things too, with the numbers and such. But I had an interesting week. I harvested my first pineapple. There is a short about that. Definitely not what I expected, but the stalk that it sat on started to bend over, and I was going to go out and stake it so it would stay up straight and continue to mature. Well, when I went out there, it had already started to turn yellow and ripen. So I was like, you know what? I better just pull it. It was actually in the rain. It was raining, so I didn't get to film me pulling it off the stalk. I was taking the dog out when I saw that it was doing that, because critters will come and take it, just like they'll come and take small watermelons here, or they'll eat your vines like they did to me. My starts are, were eaten not once, but twice. So frustrating. I need to build a cage around my next watermelon starts. That's the same thing with my passion vine, is going cucamonga, and then it just stops in the tree as it's going up the tree, because what I wanted it to do was to go up in the strangler fig and mature and make fruit. No, wipe that on your shirt. Why are you mad now? Give me that, and give me the iPad. Let's plug it in. Easy, 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 gentle. No, we're not pulling. No. Hold on one second. Of course, he's acting up now. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. That is part of being an exceptional parent. And what that means is we are parents to exceptional children, or special needs children, or you could be a caregiver even for your parent. That's what this time is about. And he's having a breakdown over there about something, and I can't figure it out. You're fine. Yes, you are. You're okay. he was putting his milk inside of, we get him these, he loves those squeezy toys for the bath, and he thinks he's being, he's discovered how to basically spit his water into them and then I guess suck it back out, and he thinks that's awesome, but he started to do it with his milk, so I had to take that away, and he's kind of mad at me. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. The decompression right here is usually in the beginning. It's for other parents of special needs kids to do also. I think are just coming off some really weird times. We had the full moon this weekend, and it very much feels like it. We've got a lot of people who are having power issues. The internet too going out for people because of an update. I think sometimes that was just a flex by a certain person to show what they could do. Stop. You're doing it too? What is going on with you guys? Lay down. Lay down. Even the dog is being weird all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I was supposed to do my live right now, and we'll see how that goes. But did you get my picture that I sent to you? Oh, you did. Okay, you replied. Yeah, really strange. I wonder what happened. I think something is going on, and I'm just wondering if they even sent out my notification, because I have some regulars that usually show up for this live, and they're super late today. Oops, sorry about that. I'm very grateful for you guys who have shown up, but it's very bizarre. I'm starting to wonder what is going on, or if they are sitting on me right now. You did get the notification? Okay, thank you. I don't know what to think of what is happening. Plus, I've been having somebody spitefully go live at the same time that I'm going live. Just kind of spiteful. Okay. Anyway, I'm glad you got the notification. I don't know why that showed up like that with your name and a different icon. That's really weird. I know that Anne was talking about too, just making it to her 500. I think she got a little bit over, and of course, YT does the math and takes away like 5 as soon as you reach that goal. As soon as you reach like that certain, even like when we celebrated my 1,000, they did that to me. As soon as we celebrated my 1,000, they took away like 6 or 8. I forget how many it was. I think it was 8, because we needed all of Maureen's kids kind of helped out. Maureen was so sweet to do that. She let all her kids know what happened, and they subscribed to me and helped me out. But yeah, I don't know what that's about, but I think it sucks that YouTube seems to do that on a regular basis. Anyway, I keep saying anyway. So the pineapple ended up being, you'll see how big it is if you watch my short. I know Aid watched the short. That was quite a surprise. It was quite a disappointment, actually, but maybe that's what happens with your first one. Hey, CC's Texas Garden. Welcome in, hun. I don't know what is going on. Did you get my notification by chance? Aid said he did get one, but he's really good about kind of being on all my stuff. No, sir. And of course, Malachi started acting out a little bit as soon as I started, and then the dog is doing weird stuff. So I don't know what is going on. Feels like we're going on another. Maybe it's those sun flares. I'm not really sure. But today I wanted to talk about that it's not really. You didn't get it. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't think they're going out to everybody. I wanted to talk about how it is not stubbornness that we're witnessing with our kids, and even it could be, our spouses, with ourselves, if we have ADHD, or, our boyfriends, girlfriends. But it is not that they are being stubborn or lazy. It's called either they have a processing issue where they're not completely hearing what you said, or they cannot process it. Their executive function is off, and they cannot process all the tasks that have just arrived in their brain. So all of a sudden they will just shut down and they can't move. See, of course, too, my nose has to start itching as soon as I get on. What the? So sometimes, too, what parents who don't have their kids tested yet, they will say, like, oh, he's so stubborn. And what they find out later after, maybe an educator is like, hey, you should have him tested. He's, not communicating right in class, or not seeming to understand what I'm asking him to do. And, the parent will usually respond, well, he's just stubborn. Or he does that with me, And then once they're tested for, it's called receptive, what they're hearing, and expressive language, what they're able to say, there comes up that there's a disorder there. You have to have usually both to have a disorder. Just expressive can be articulation. Just receptive, it can be hearing. That's why when kids are tested for by the ESE departments in schools, they will have them do an auditory test to make sure it is not a physical hearing issue. But I have seen it more times than I can count on my hand. It's many times that a parent thought they just had a stubborn child, and what they had was a child with a communication disorder. And usually, if they have a communication disorder with expressive, receptive communication, they often have something else going on too, whether that's dyslexia, whether that's ADHD, whether it's both, whether it's something on the autism spectrum, whether, it is some kind of cognitive issue. That's why it's important not to just think, oh, they're being stubborn. You also don't want to jump to the conclusion of, oh no, something's wrong with my kid. But I think sometimes as parents, we know something's going on and we're not quite sure what. But we've also seen those kids that the parent is like, he's so stubborn. He just doesn't do what I tell him to do. And you've been around the kid and you kind of notice that they're not stubborn. They're a little bit slow to understand what you're saying. And yet that parent can't necessarily see that. So the parent themselves might actually have something going on too, along with that child, which is sometimes really sad. It's sad to see that. And as far as the lazy aspects, what happens, and this is what's sad too, we'll see, I remember seeing my nephew and he couldn't do his homework. Like he struggled with it, but he would get overwhelmed, and then he would look like he was either being lazy or obstinate, and what he was being was he didn't understand it. He didn't understand what even to do. And I would have that sometimes. I would be in class. I would get so lost with, my ADHD would just have me lost that I wouldn't even know what to raise my hand and ask. And they, to get back on track in the class. Because then because I would come home with the homework and my parents would be like, oh, it's okay, Ann. A lot of people, I'm wondering if people got their notifications. And guys, if you haven't checked, like I mentioned before, how YouTube did Ann, make sure that you guys are still subscribed to her, because YT took some from her. And yeah, my notifications aren't going out like usual today, Ann. Oh, totally understand. Had a little bit of that beforehand. I had to eat something I hadn't eaten. But anyway, I would see that with my nephew and I would feel really bad. But even at the time, I didn't know what I was looking at. And then, of course, he would act out because he was totally frustrated because he couldn't figure it out himself, and it made him feel dumb. And he was being raised by no, sir. Excuse me. No, that's not funny. It's not. He wants to play with spit now. Yay, fun. He was being raised by my parents, who were already exhausted. I was the youngest child. They were exhausted with me, and they were pretty, PO'd at my sister for just kind of taking off and yeah, disappearing. And they were, left to raise her kids who, looking back now, they were drug and alcohol exposed. So I would watch him, and yet his older brother was in the gifted classes. But really, what he was he was high functioning autistic because he used to scream over his socks. The seam in his socks would just irritate him. And he was like a screamer in the store, and obviously sensory overload. Now, when my sister came back on the scene years later, after her kids were pretty much raised by my parents, she wouldn't believe that they were on the spectrum at all. Like, and this is when, hey, Storms, when she was treating me nasty. So I said, well, fine, but this, and this. And oh, no, 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 no. I said, well, that's okay. We can just call them drug and alcohol exposed then. Of course, she didn't like that because she just didn't want to classify them that way. Like, crazy. Oh, oh, thanks, Brutal Bob. I hope things go well with her rehabbing. Yeah, I'm trying to stay safe. So Cucamonga. Need to like check the news after this, even though I don't like to usually do that. But anyway, I was just using that as an example. Like, I know for me, I didn't do really well in school until I got to college because I could focus on, with ADHD, you could focus on things that interest you. So, my fine arts major, I had a lot more in that major. The core courses were a whole other deal, but what I was able to do was do a junior college at that time. So my classes were smaller, which helped. And I knew by, being a little bit more mature, I could go and get help from somebody else or somebody even in the class. God bless you. This always seems to happen. It's perfect because it's about being an exceptional parent. Um, so I think not only do we have to have extra patience. Give me this teeny tiny pill to remove water from my legs. Oh no. You could probably trying to think. Diuretics for that. Natural diuretics, of course, one is watermelon. And the other is, of all things, artichokes, but I don't know how available those two are to you. Yeah, I hate those pills. My mom couldn't do those pills when she was having heart issues because she couldn't really get up and get to the loo that fast. So sorry about that, Anne. That's no fun. So now I'm off track. Oh, so it becomes difficult when you have your child now, if they are in school and they are missing what's being taught because of their ADHD or somewhere on the spectrum. Um, so they can't come home and tell you where they're lost, and then you are there not sitting in the class being able to see what's being taught, and it can cause a lot of frustration at home. So, of course, my heart goes out to you guys who are going through that. It's one of the reasons we decided to homeschool Hannah and to homeschool him. And also just, I was a certified teacher for the state of Florida already, that we didn't want them coming home with all this homework and they would be lost and we would be lost. We just figured we'd rather do the homework during the day. Like, that's your schooling, and we don't have to assign homework because you're already home. And I know too, a lot of places have stopped assigning so much homework, which is great because the kids really have enough to kind of absorb in the classroom. However, the kids that have special needs are still having to bring home homework and still having to go through that, um, push pull, tug of war with a parent or a caregiver to try and get through it. as far as you seeing maybe like right now, um, there is kind of an avoidance with these kids too, and they don't mean to do it. Again, it's just they are overwhelmed, and the executive function is the part of the brain that's in front of the part, like right in the front, and it's the thing that does all your planning and your prioritizing. And when you have so many things to do, it and it's not functioning well, it's going to have a hard time helping you say this needs to happen first and you need to take care of this and you need to take care of that. Hey, bud files. That's why too, like you'll often see these kids or adults leave things to last minute. If there is pressure on them for some reason, I don't know if it is just it, like it ups my blood to that part of the brain, but I'm able to get things done. And I've heard other creators who are like ADHD creators, like I can get a week's worth of work done in an hour, but ask me to do an hour's worth of work that it seems overwhelming to me, and I will wait all week because I just can't wrap my head around it. Hey, Duncan 1900, welcome in. Oh, thanks, Anne. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is I was going to say for those of us who have had help come in, what help did we want to have back, and maybe what help would we not want to have back? For me, I would love to have the OT back. As far as speech therapy, I would rather have a feeding specialist who also does speech therapy, because feeding specialists are often a little bit more educated in not just the articulation, but how the mouth is supposed to be moving when they speak. And they can pick up on issues as to why they may not want to eat something, that it might not just be sensory, that it might be they are not able to like transfer that thought quick enough to their mouth in order to chew that food correctly, or they're seeing that they're not, that they may have one side of their mouth that is functioning better than the other. We actually need to take him to a feeding specialist just to make sure. um, but he seems to have gotten over quite a bit of it. Like he can eat popcorn and he can eat sandwiches now. Sensory wise, he can't stand the smell of a lot of like meat, like chicken or steak. And that's actually quite common. You'll find that these kids on the spectrum or with other learning disabilities like to stick to safe foods for them, whether it's texture, whether it's, their sense of smell. But he is a little bit of both. It's texture, it's sense of smell. Put that back. Yeah, he's also wanting attention. This is common with younger children, and he is quite young when looking at his age when he's tested. Anyway, that was just kind of the subject I wanted to talk about today. Was I just see it far too often where these children are being labeled as lazy or being labeled as stubborn, and they so want to not be that. Um, I didn't want to be, lazy. I wanted to be able to be a good student. I wanted to be able to do well in school, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't, because I was watching all the kids in my class, and there was only, it seemed like, a couple of us who weren't doing well, and usually the ones who were doing like worse than me were uh, lower level functioning. I'm just grateful that I functioned high enough that um, I was in, like, I got average grades. In college, if I didn't fail, I failed like I think one class when I was away at school because I didn't know I had it. It was one of those nightmare things where they signed me up for nighttime class, knowing full well I was on the volleyball team and we had games at night, and they should have pulled me out of the class. It was such a small little Christian school. But then they were like, "Oh no, it's too late. We can't pull you out. You should have been going." Yeah, that was me too, Anne, and that's actually a common thing with people on the spectrum and who have ADHD. That's very common that you do well in the subjects that can catch your interest, but those that bore you just can't do well. I forced myself to focus, and I would get actually migraines as I got older from it was probably more like a tension headache, but they hurt so bad. I remember I accidentally signed up for Excel and for the professional certificate level because of the way, excuse me, they wrote the course catalog. It was like you couldn't tell that it was the, Excel professional. And oh my gosh, I had to go and ask like an accountant, like two of the accountants at our church to help me because that was the one that you have to have formulas for to fill in the boxes. It was a freaking nightmare. Like, and I had taken beginning, computer courses and some other computer courses, and I thought that's what this was going to be, just like a intro to Excel. No. Oh, you got migraines from trying to concentrate so hard. Yeah, I don't know if I got them in my early, I would say 20s, but I used to think it was my sinuses and not anything else. Oh, okay. That's still pretty good. Yeah, you were saying that you speak a lot of languages, which is awesome. Yeah, my daughter is hyperlexic, but she never went into other languages. My nephew, who was high functioning, I'm pretty sure autistic, uh, he was really great at languages also. And he was considered like on the gifted track. But sadly, his life was a mess because he was drug and alcohol exposed. And, my sister basically abandoned him and my other nephew. So it is interesting to see like how they say it's a spectrum, but it's almost, I saw it one time represented as like a color wheel, and like each gifting or ability was represented like a small pie piece. And the center was, say, mastering it. Of course, my husband's calling me right now. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Real life. He was thinking he had to pick something up. And I was like, no, I got that yesterday. Uh, yeah, math was not my favorite. And geography. Mm. Yeah, it's so abstract. Algebra was super abstract to me too, and nobody could really explain it well. But geometry made sense to me because there were the shapes right there in front of you, so that made sense to me, and I could do those problems because here were the shapes. Geography, I just didn't have the memory for it because of my slight dyslexia, and they say that's part of ADHD too. But yeah, I struggled with those. Still, when I got into college, most of my core courses I pulled a B. My electives I pulled A's. The only, I want to say the one that gave me trouble was like a bell graphing. It was for, of all things, grading. And I'm like, thank God I'm an art teacher. It it was all about basically statistics and grading and educational mathematics. And it was just what teachers need to know how to do so they can grade. And they made it a lot more complicated and made you kind of freak out about it more than necessary. And I totally tuned out. I got a D, and I kept thinking they were going to not pass me, not give me my educational certificate because of that D, but all my other classes balanced out that grade. And yeah, I was fine. I actually ended up graduating with a high B average, even with my failure and that low D. I think that was actually the one that I did fail the first time around that was at night, so I wouldn't have passed it. I'm not really sure. But anything that I got a low grade in was something like that. I got out of I did take educational psychology. That wasn't too bad, but I didn't want to take psychology because it was too many things to attribute to certain people and remember, like the different things that they were responsible for and came up with. And yeah, I couldn't. Mm. I can somewhat read a map, but I'm very glad to be in the time and age of the phones because that does help. You too. You did great in geometry. Yeah, because it made sense. It wasn't abstract. Even today, like in Mrs. T's, when he was saying that question about you can't touch these things, did not even think to approach it from an abstract, random kind of thing, even though that's my personality type is more abstract, random than concrete, sequential. And I often will have friends that are concrete, sequential thinkers, um, and I'm, the abstract, random, or I'll have somebody that's a little bit of both. But I would love to be better at planning, even still, as an adult. What I find helps me, and what might help, like, these kids that are dealing with it, is doing like a task that you can't stand, is, of course, setting a timer and putting it in front of you and seeing what you can get done in, 10 minutes. And that's even just corners of my house. I will do that. I'll just, not necessarily put a timer on, but I will say, okay, well, for 15 minutes, we can just stay in this spot and see what we can accomplish. Let's see what we can, throw away, give away, uh, put away. I can read math, no problem. Now, math, really, I would think that you would be pretty good at math with the way that you are with radios and stuff. Yeah, I always was like that too. I could come up with right answers, and the math teachers were like, "How did you do the work, though?" I'm like, "Don't know. Just got the answer. It just came to me." So that didn't work for the math teachers. They want to see the work. They want to know that you can do all the steps, and I couldn't always remember all the steps. Think of your loft. What loft is that? Oh, the loft you have to tackle. Oh, trust me, so many spots in my house. So many. A lot of it depends on who's teaching. Yes, I aced algebra one, but barely passed algebra two. Yeah, we do have a teaching style. Um, and I would change. That was the other thing that was in my control in college, was I could choose my teachers. You're absolutely right, Duncan. We respond to certain teaching styles. Our learning style does, and I loved that about college, was I could go and get out after sitting in front of them for one class. I would know, okay, I'm just not going to do well under this person, and I would go and get out of the class and either take it with somebody else that semester or just wait till it came around the next semester. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Totally forgot about that one. That's so true. I think I'm probably ready. Well, since my mom passed away, it's Malachi's old room was her room, and he's in with us, and he was in with us while she was here. And his room has become like that. That's where I do my lives at night. I'm in a corner. Well, there's like plastic boxes to my left and plastic boxes to my right. And yeah, it's like that. It's the storage room, and we really have to stop that. But I also have little corners out here that I need to take care of first. Oh no, nobody did anything in there until now. Yeah, that's where you just start the timer and, do the keep, giveaway, you know, throw away, or try. Sometimes it helps too just to go through and go, what can I actually just throw away? What do I know I'm not going to use or need? And just get rid of some of those things and just like tell yourself you need to throw away 5 things. Right? Get in the corner and think about what you've done. Yeah, right? That's how I feel. It feels that way, Storms, when I have to do stuff like that. It's a massive space, almost the size. Wow. And it's totally full. See, now that's overwhelming because just even the thought of that, even you saying that out loud, it overwhelms me. It's not even my house. Yeah. Well, I have that, and our garage has issues because when they did our electrical um, box, we had to move some things around, and it stayed that way for them to come and, say that it was okay for the inspection. But I really need to move things back the way they were and put my work table back, which was my dad's work table, all together. Yeah, right? That song is perfect. Stuck, stuck somewhere, stuck with all this stuff. But I have been trying to clean up. I got most of the table cleaned off. And then there's projects too. And like even my daughter's room, she is just totally squeezed in there. She hardly has any space. But does she stop like ordering and collecting things? No, no, because that gives her that. That's the other thing that we need sometimes with ADHD is that dopamine. We need that because we are low usually on dopamine and serotonin, like the chemicals don't work correctly. It's also why a lot of people on the spectrum deal with anxiety and depression more often. Um, so yeah, she'll get her dopamine hit from ordering stuff. Like for a while, it was all those little vinyl things, the pops or whatever, I forget what they're called. And you keep those in the box and they're just to kind of look at. And I guess, you can exchange them with people and supposedly, it's kind of like what the TY Beanie Babies were for us. It's their TY Beanie Babies. Just a little bit cooler because, they just have, they look like miniatures of characters. But yeah, she's got all those and some other things that she collects, and yet she is just also an esthetician and makeup artist. So she's got a drugstore's worth of makeup in her room, and no, she doesn't have enough space. So we put some shelves, little shelves on the wall that she chose. I had her actually, she got a small tool bag, which that thing I'm really glad she got has a little level. So I had her measure it out, like where I needed to drill the holes, and she did all that. I told her, like, do it with tape, with the painter's tape, and that'll just make it easier. And she did it. I was very proud of her. And if you don't know the painter's tape trick, I'll tell you guys, but I'm pretty sure most of you know it. Its own stairs and entrance. Oh my goodness. That would be nice. Exactly. Yeah, we just actually, my husband just went through losing one of his really experienced workers because he didn't realize he was 65. And they actually moved up to the area where I was looking. And now, of course, it's the prices are climbing in South Carolina, but I don't even know if I would like it because I have visited South Carolina and I loved like some areas, and then other areas I was like, I don't really, that's, I don't really care for that. But that's the same thing with Florida. Like, I like South Florida. There's areas in like central and north that I'm like, no, I don't want to live there. Plus, as you go central and north too, like I've mentioned before, sinkholes happen a lot more, and those scare me. Oh no, I'm sorry, Storms. You and Aid are in the same situation with, I don't, but Storms, do you have like a window unit or no? Because I definitely wish anybody has AC right now this summer. Yeah, absolutely. And we have pockets here too that are not the nicest. Yeah, I know Shadow Scout. I know Shadow Scout Queen. I probably know like half the people that you've met, but then I've seen some on your mentions that I haven't even met. You're like all over the place on YouTube. But yeah, I know Shadow Scout. Why? It's Shadow Scout Sweet, unless he changed it, but it used to be Shadow Scout. Oh, thanks for letting me know. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. He's a nice guy. Hmm, that is a shame. I know what that's like. Oh, it's no fun. Thanks for letting me know. I'll have to go by his channel and just share my condolences and my sympathy. It's no fun. I remember when my dad passed, the next morning I was outside and I was watching the sun come up. I, of course, didn't sleep well. And it was like December 19th because he passed away on the 18th. And I look over at, we have this fire spike bush, and it's a butterfly pollinator. It's as big as a tree. And I could have, I thought I had seen a hummingbird at it. And for some reason, we are not in, the hummingbirds fly more east of our house when they're migrating. So we miss them all the time. And it was just that one morning, and I saw the hummingbird at that tree. And we had been talking about trimming it. And the next thing I know, right after I said, "Oh, how cool, I just saw a hummingbird there." And I love hummingbirds. I wanted to move to a certain place in Georgia just to be around the hummingbirds. Uh, anyway, Aaron goes out to trim the tree, and he cuts the whole thing almost down. Uh, yeah, I was a mess. I was so mad. Oh, he won't be on for a while. I can't blame him there. I don't blame him there. I used to be organized to the point of OCD, but since we moved here, that was me too. But not to the point of OCD, because my sister-in-law was OCD and I didn't want to be that far gone about it. I can't physically do it either. There's just days like, yeah. Yeah, that too. Uh-huh. I have mess makers too. But what's funny is the mess makers, one of them is really good about doing like the everyday tasks that get to me or that I'll forget. Like I will put wash in and forget I put it in there because it's outside. Um, so, they will help me with that. But I'm glad it's going through the wash because all the hand marks that are on the door and um, they don't necessarily know their strength and they break things that, like right now, Malachi's diaper thing is broken along with our trash can. I need a new trash can. I've needed a new trash can for, I want to say, a year. I'm the one who has to go out and get the things that have been broken, which drives me kind of cucamonga. It's the same thing with our slider. That person is the only one who has made it hop off the track multiple times because they slam doors and stuff. They don't know their own strength. Oh, it's you're dealing with physical stuff too. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Anne. 2 sets of stairs up and I can't do it. Oh, yeah. Nope, stairs are not fun after a certain age. And that's the thing too, is when I look at the homes up north, um, many of them have that second story, and I really don't want that for retirement because of watching, being a caregiver for my mom and watching her just even try and get a shower in the shower that was, the one with the tub. Well, then our other one is sunken in. So either one was very dangerous and difficult for her in her last, 2 years of life. So yeah, I'm very aware, like moving forward, like, okay, we can't do a 2-story. Although I would, there's part of me that I would love a 2-story. I love the way they look. I think they look so hospitable, especially in the South. Can you get it? Okay. But do I want to be going up and down those stairs with my sciatica that, like, this past time that I heard it, it can just stay inflamed for weeks. Like, you can re-injure it. Did they tell you what's causing the edema, Anne? Oh, it has lymphedema. Okay. Do they know why? That's not good. They need to know a little bit more why. And it's not salt, and they checked your heart and your kidneys. I don't have a problem going upstairs. Yes, yes. The coming back down and my knees now, I don't know how they would do. We moved from a townhouse. Couldn't have been a better time because I would say 10 years after living in here, there's no way I would be able to be going up and down those stairs all the time. Oh, okay, your thyroid. Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that they're perfect. Forget what else can cause that. Hey, girl, dad, welcome in, welcome in. I could probably open the panel for a little bit, but really, because that was just what I wanted to get out there was to stop, calling these kids lazy or stubborn or even causing that, within a marriage that sometimes, there's processing disorder going on, whether that's with your executive functioning in front of the brain that does the planning or whether it's with the language processing. And I know with ADHD, there's this little skit where the guy is telling him, he's playing both characters, but the guy's telling him about a party and the person with ADHD goes, huh? And he starts to repeat what he's saying to the person with ADHD. And then and the person with ADHD then answers him while he's midway through telling him again. And he's like, what the frick? And the person with ADHD never explains to him, it's my processing. It's my language processing center. I didn't hear you, but I did. It's really hard to explain. It just takes me a second or a minute for things to catch sometimes. Oh, I'm so glad your heart is strong. That's good. I think did say, but hubby can't always. Oh, great. Oh, that's not good. You need like that new. Have you seen that? The new folding phone. That it is an Android, but the folding phone that has that kind of app where they can actually read it from the backside and you can read their answer that's facing you. It's a commercial that's out now and it is wild. Oh, it's above his fluency level. Okay. Oh, good. I'm glad it's working. Not the normal. Is it Lasix? Like one of those? Not to be nosy. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be nosy. It's one of those interests of mine. Like, I wish sometimes that my memory was a lot better and that I was good at like what you were with the biology and the sciences, cuz probably would have done medical. Wow. That's great. One thing too that will make you hold on to water was when I was doing that cleanse. Shh, Malachi. When I was doing that cleanse and I got off of sugar, I found out that when we have sugar, our body holds on to more water to process it in our system. So, when people are like, I'm drinking Gatorade to help me with my electrolytes, well, you're helping yourself hold on to water, that's for sure. It's going to stay with you. Probably better off drinking some pickle juice. Oh, I've never heard of that one. Must be a newer one. A newer one or an older one since you're in Turkey. I'm not sure which, but I haven't heard of that one. Oh, I'm so glad. Wow, that's a huge difference. There's the link for anybody who wants to come up. Just kind of free for all, or just even talking like how we are talking. But yeah, that skit was so interesting because I my mom used to do that. It used to drive us crazy. She would go, what? And then she would respond a few minutes later. But then she started doing it no matter who was talking, even if they weren't talking to her. And we were like, Mom, you got to cut that out. We're not talking to you. We're talking to each other. I cannot read. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, when it was bigger, how much harder it was for you to get there. Well, with my foot, with the plantar fasciitis, it's so crazy. The sciatica starts to be less inflamed, the hip starts to heal, and then my plantar fasciitis starts to act up more. And I'm like, what the frick is going on with this lower part of my body? I'm getting really mad. Need to cut it out. Need to settle down. Just settle down there. Get right. Get with my insides. My insides are like 20 something. You need to get with the insides and stop acting like, 70-year-old. Because that's, still too far off to collect Medicare. So you got to straighten out, body. But yeah, I just don't know how to beat the whole thing with the plantar fasciitis. It drives me crazy. Because it's what I know, like people who have had sciatica or plantar fasciitis understand very hard to stand in one place and get stuff done with either one of those. And I've had water weight, but not like to that excess. And it's hard. You feel very heavy. Uh, it's hard to describe, and it hurts to stand in one place and get things done too. Is difficult when you have that going on. I'm using a salve that somebody sent me to test out for the neuropathy. I'm so glad it's getting better for you now. And that's what I wonder too with my little bit of extra weight. If I take off that weight, if the fasciitis would get better. Because I've had things wrong before, but nothing like as painful. And then I worry too that it's like a circulation issue or something. With what's hard here in the house is I think we both have a little bit of processing, and we both kind of do that. Plus, he comes home so exhausted. It's like talking to a wall because he's been listening to people complain to him all day on the phone. Thank you. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, from losing the extra water weight. Yeah. Yeah, I might start doing. I know Mona over at Sifting Some Soil and More does. She does like a watermelon. not a smoothie, but she drinks watermelon rather than eating it. She'll blend it up and drink it because of its diuretic properties, and it helps her. It decreases the water weight, and I should just try that for about a few days. She was doing a fast and doing that, and she said it really helped her. Right? Absolutely. The thing is it's like I've always been kind of small. Oops, sorry. Um, 5'2", maybe 125 at that time was my upper as an adult. Um, and then when I got pregnant, of course, that went way off course. I think my last few days of Hannah, right before I had her, I was like 170 pounds, and I felt so big, like huge. And I remember giving birth to her, and I don't know if it was that day. I think it was that day because the drugs were still in effect, and I went and got on the scale. And the water weight in her, I had lost like 20 pounds. I was like down to 150, but I was still upset because I thought I would lose a lot more. I was like, oh no. Oh no. But yeah, I'm going to say about 145 now. So 20 extra pounds. Like it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you've been small all your life, that's a lot on your feet, at least for sure. I'm tall, but used to weigh so little. Yeah, I know. I miss that fast metabolism that I had. And the fact that I used to be able to like go for hours and not remember to eat. That was part of my ADHD. I don't have that issue anymore with my ADHD. I do remember to eat. In fact, I enjoy it very much. And yeah, I don't forget to eat anymore. I seem to always remember. And yeah, that's not good either when you remember too often and can't get it off your mind. But I do hope people, do find the replay and realize that their child or their spouse is not necessarily doing things on purpose, like being stubborn on purpose or being, how do you say it? Not just stubborn, but lazy, seeming like they're lazy. Because I don't even think my husband grasps how, because I can do things and then I just can't with the fibro. Like the pain comes on and I can't. That's confusing enough. Then add in ADHD, and it's like I can tackle something like a week's worth of work when I'm not hurting, like in a day. I can get a lot done in a day. And then I can't do anything for like a week other than just recovering, but I can't get much done because I'm overwhelmed with the next task that is facing me or tasks. But I really appreciate those of you who came in today. It just seems like a slower Wednesday than usual, but that's okay. It ebbs and flows, and it's just been a weird time overall, I think, ever since 45 was, shot at. It's just been kind of strange. Wow. Good for you. Down to 159. But still, like you said, like when you were young, 98 pounds. So you have to find, I think too, like as we get older, our bodies tend to find, like if we are taking care of ourselves, this doesn't go for us, eating whatever we want, eating junk and stuff. But if we're taking care of ourselves, we're eating, we're trying to move as much as we can, um, our body still has like a status weight, like where it will have a comfortable weight that it will go into. Unfortunately, that comfortable weight is not the weight that we used to be when we were younger and our body could burn through calories. So, oh, okay. Yeah, that's when the lymphedema can happen, actually. That can be a side effect from dealing with cancer. I'm sorry it started with, yep, and then the pandemic. I'm so sorry about that. Wow. Okay, that's I need to do. Hold up. I am not a kilogram person. Okay, 132. I think that's around where I'm going to end up, even if I do lose weight. I don't think I want to get lower than that. Thanks, Aid. I was, I was on a different page looking it up. Thank you. You knew. It was like, oh, let me help out my American friend. Wow. Yeah, I lost my weight like after I would say I 3 months I was still about 150 because it was stressful. Hannah wasn't a good sleeper. Later on, found out she was asthmatic. That's another thing too. If you have a kid that's always getting up at 4 a.m., that's usually when your oxygen is lowest, and it can be a sign that they're an asthmatic. Not to mention a chronic, like a cough, coughing. Oh my goodness, you're smaller than me, Brenda. I didn't realize you were like shorter than me. Pick up any weight before all this. Wow. Yep, I believe it. Oh no, not that stupid crop duster again. You do not need that over your house. That too, like after meeting you and seeing that happen to you, that scares me about, country living. To pick a place that would be near crops that they have dusted. Wow. Yeah, I picked up some child weight and then some, but I was because too, I was eating the only thing I could keep in was sweets. Like I was throwing up just about everything. Yes, it is. Metric equals, that's right. It is witchcraft. Oh, my ear. Washed my hair before this because I colored my grays. It looks super red on here. I don't think it's that red in person. It's totally witchcraft. Metric is witchcraft. But what's funny is like uh Maureen sent me this short and it was about how Canadians use both and at different times. Like they go back and forth. So between the two systems. Why did they laugh? Oh wow. Yeah, you were barely showing. Yeah. That's true too. Yeah, tuck we do for certain things I have in the garage that are on metric. Oh, who's after? Yeah, the lack of sleep can do amazing things to the body. That's I think too part of my weight gain is when my dad got sick before he passed, I was staying up until 4 a.m. and that did not stop actually until recently. And I tallied up all that extra time past say 12 o'clock at night when I might get into bed. I stayed up a full year's worth of time um, from when I started that until when, I tallied it. And yeah, I was like, did I gain a year or lose a year that way? I can't figure that out. But either way, I gained weight because I was not going to sleep and I wasn't getting my proper rest. Oh, I miss that. That I miss. I did too. Like after Hannah, I got so thin, I looked like I crack addict. But then it can go a bad direction too, because you realize you have control over what you're putting in your mouth, and you're like, I don't want to get big again. And so you're not eating what you should eat because you're afraid of getting big again. At least for me, that's how it was, but I wasn't an overeater prior to my pregnancy with her. And I really wasn't an overeater until, I would say, my third trimester, when I could eat. And it was just because I was so excited I could eat again, because I was so sick the first 2 trimesters. Yep. Yep. And that will put weight on. Yep. And rightfully so. Oh, yeah, that's not good. That's probably something like the doctors should help you with. Some magnesium or melatonin would be the natural way. I know I take the magnesium malate, but it after a while it does the opposite. It can give you energy, and that's the last thing you want, it to kick into the energy mode while you're trying to go to sleep. But they have other magnesiums that help with that. And there is actually this lotion that's for kids, but for those of us who have a hard time like getting in and out of a tub and soaking, they have it's actually made for kids, but it has melatonin in it, essential oils, and it also had the, I think, magnesium sulfate, or it used to be. I'm trying to see if it does mention it. Where is it? No, maybe not. They're covering up. That's nice. They're tagged for, so you don't walk out of the store and steal it, is covering over all of what else is in there. Thanks a lot. I forget where I got this. Probably like Big Lots or something. And no, I didn't steal it. But yeah, like they put it over what's in it. Anyway, they used to have one that had the magnesium sulfate. You can get creams that have magnesium sulfate in them, and you can absorb it that way. Plus, there's the magnesium oil that I made and refilled my magnesium oil. That's magnesium chloride that helps a bit. Oh, I'm sorry, Anne. Understandably so. I don't sleep well because of the fibro, and then really Theron should probably be wearing those masks for sleep apnea, but he hated it so much. And plus, with Malachi in the room, it's very difficult for him to wear because it's noisy. But he can snore on like every side. Like you tell him to roll over, he rolls over, and within 5 minutes he can snore on that side too. Oh no, I didn't know. Oh, well, some doctors will do that here too. They think it's a sign of depression. I think it's a sign of depression. And sometimes they can help with sleep. Oh, shoot. Well, that's not good. Oh, it's okay, Storms. Don't worry about it. I'm about to call it anyway. Wow. Yeah, there's one that is really good for fibro, but it's got like a big warning on it, like how dangerous it is. And I just was like, I'm not doing it. Turns out, too, though, it's supposed to be good for migraines. So I kind of wish I would have tried it a little longer just to see. That's actually who gave it to me, I think, was the neurologist. But even like the doctors sometimes, the new doctor even that I got, she was ready to put me on, antidepressant. And I looked at her like, why? I only said like barely on this questionnaire. I'm like, I'm doing a lot better. But she was ready to add one. And I'm like, I'm really not supposed to mix that with the two things I'm on. Oh, I have other people. She treats elderly patients. She's like, oh, they take this and that. And it was Cymbalta. And I'm like, oh, I can tell you right now, that doesn't even work. So you don't need to even bother with that. I don't know if these doctors get kickbacks for certain ones or not. Oh, yeah. No, that's terrible. Yeah, you don't need that. Yeah, no. So then maybe try the magnesium. Just research it a little bit and see which one might, help you out because, yeah, you need some sleep. You definitely need some sleep. But I totally get it. My mom, I completely changed her, and her son at least got to live into his 50s. But still, no mother should have to see that. No, no mother should have to do that, go through that. Yeah. Wow. I'm so sorry, Anne. Okay. So, have you tried melatonin? I know for me, I have to take such a low dose because it gives me a hangover the next day. But that could also be, the medicines that I'm already on for the fibromyalgia. Somebody told me yesterday they saw that I had fibromyalgia, and they're like, because I hadn't seen him in a while, I saw him in Marfugal because I was trying to watch about some news story that he was going to present that a friend sent to me. And they're like, wow, you look like you're a hoot, Fibro Friday. That sounds like, teasing me. I'm like, well, we did change it to Feeling Fabulous Friday. I said, we have a good time on Friday nights. I'm like, but we do talk about stuff that matters. Um, oh, melatonin? Yeah, I can type it in. It's right here, thank goodness, because no, I'm not a good speller. That was what I struggled with. Anything with memory, melatonin. There you go. Melatonin. Huh? Hi, hon. You're going to popcorn in a minute. Almost done. Well, I probably should call it. He's asking for some popcorn, and I've got fish that is defrosting. I already made like scallops and yellow rice. Docs asked about my mental health every visit. I finally said I don't have. Ah, that's hilarious. That's a great response, Doc. That's funny, right? I should tell my doctor that when she does that. Oh, excuse me. I get so frustrated because my daughter got her labs came back like immediately, like blood work. Oh my, that's our little puppy who's got heart issues. Mine still hasn't come back. So that will be the call I'll be making this week to find out where that is. Because I don't want to be surprised, like it comes to the doctor right before, and then the doctor's seeing something that I had, I get shocked by. Like to have a little heads up about what my body has been doing. But that's too funny. I think I need to save that line. That's a great one. Well, everybody, thank you for showing up today, even though it seems like a really laid back day. I hope you got something out of it. Even just hanging out with you is always great. I really appreciate you coming around and us just, chatting. And Friday, I'm not sure, what's going to happen for the daytime one. And Friday night will be the same as usual. And I meant to ask you who you use for the songs. I working on one with Udio is the online app, but you're doing so great with those AI like videos and then the songs that you're making up. It's really cool. Oh, thank you. Suno. I've never heard of them. Thank you. Yeah, because I was making a song for Friday nights and it was coming out cute, except for then when you ask it, when I asked it to lengthen it, it brought in dolphins because I'm in Florida. Like one of them was like ride the dolphins. I'm like, no, I'm not putting that on my song. And then I think the other one says something like sing with the dolphins. I'm like, oh, I might just leave that because it's hilarious. Because we used to joke around about when we were making up a story one time, we were saying that, David Hasselhoff rode in on 2 dolphins. It was Homestead Aquarius, and I made that up as part of one of those where you just add on. I try melatonin. I have very busy. Yeah, you have to try it in really small increments first. It can make you like lucid dream. That might just prove that you already have enough melatonin and you just need to relax more. And that would be just soaking in, like, if you, like just if you can soak your feet in the, Epsom salts. If you can't, then getting like the magnesium oil and spraying it on yourself, like after, washing up, just spraying it and letting your skin absorb it. It helps with restless legs too, I've noticed, like with me. Everybody have a great afternoon, and hopefully I will. Oh, awesome. Do you have to pay for it? Yeah, I did say what kind of music, and it kind of gave me those words about the dolphin. I didn't put that in. They just kind of added that in, and I was like, I thought what they were going to do was just, I don't know, repeat what they kind of had already, you know, like loop it. And yeah, no, they didn't. They added in about the dolphins. Oh, it's okay, great. Perfect. I'll have to check it out. Thank you so much for sharing that. And like I said, you guys make sure that YouTube did not unsubscribe you from Anne, because she's getting ready to go live, because now she's up to 500. And yeah, hopefully we'll be doing a live soon. And thanks again for just hanging out with me. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. It really means a lot to me. And I will hopefully see you on Friday day at 2:30. And hopefully that will be non-eventful and not as much going on with phone calls and such over on my side. And I'll have time to also plan for it. But have a really great time. Oh, have good sleep, Anne. I appreciate you being here. Take care, everybody. And we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody. God bless.